it's time for part two of my Victorian patio makeover. A few videos ago, I did part one, which is where I cleaned the patio and spray painted my furniture to start it down the path of looking Victorian-inspired, which it's not done yet. I need to do that in this video. I did another video about the shade garden plants, and maybe that was part two. Maybe this is part three. Maybe the shade garden one was 1.5. I don't know. Either way, we're finishing it in this video. And I've honestly almost made things worse instead of better. Um, I had its leaves again. I need to blow off, um, and I had to make myself a to-do list so I could remember everything that I need to do, and in the order of operations that makes the most sense, like efficiency wise. And the first thing I need to do is wash the umbrella because my paint finally came that I'm going to use to refresh it to make it not look faded anymore. And I'm also going to deepen the red color. I'm keeping the red because I don't want to change the whole color. I think for a Victorian inspired patio, beige is probably better because it's more neutral, but I have a red umbrella. I'm not buying a new umbrella, so I'm just going to paint it. But I need to wash it because it's never actually been washed. It's home to some spiders now, I believe. And then while that dries, then I will continue on with my next steps, of which there are many. So, in order to keep myself from getting overwhelmed, I got to go step by step. First step, wash the umbrella. So let's do that. Okay, hopefully that's clean enough for the paint to stick. And it's a nice day, so hopefully that dries really quick so that I can paint it today. If not today, then tomorrow for sure. Okay, I put together the rockers. I just did that off camera while listening to an audiobook, which I'm currently listening to, The Handmaid's Tale. I've seen the show, never listened to the book, so I decided to listen to that because I didn't have any credits and I just had it in my library. I guess I got it at some point. But in the time it took me to do this, the umbrella is dry. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to paint it. And this is the paint that I got. This brand called Nico or Neek Pro. And according to Amazon, it's indoor outdoor. And they only have like very basic colors like red, blue, green, yellow, white, black, brown. And I mentioned that I wanted the umbrella to be a deeper red, which this already looks pretty deep, but I'm going to mix it with a little bit of black and brown to kind of like mute it a little bit. And then for the chair seats and backs, I'm going to mix a little bit of white and brown because I want it to be like a very light beige color, not stark white, not like brown, but just kind of like the color that I tried to spray paint it was called oatmeal, and I think that was a good very light beige color. So I'm gonna mix these together, and then ultimately I'm gonna stencil the seats and backs with black paint and like a damask print. And that stencil is still on the way. It hasn't come yet, but I can go ahead and do the umbrella and I can go ahead and paint the seats and backs beige so that when the stencil gets here, I can do that, but everything else will be done. So, but umbrella first. So I'm going to try to mix it in a cup. I should have gotten some kind of like paint thing when I went to the store to get like a brush and stuff, but I didn't. So this is going to have to work. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to need this whole bottle. Like, I hope I have enough. It's already a pretty deep red. I'm pretty pleased with that. Promising. It's looking a little bit more muted. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. All right, let's go see how this does. Should have known better that I didn't have enough paint. That little bottle was not going to be enough. I got 2.5 sections done, and I can't tell if it's splotchy or if it's just because it has to dry. Um, this part, the last part I did, is definitely still a little bit wet, but yeah. So I need at least 3 more bottles of paint because there's 8 sections. So I'll have to try to color match. So that's going to be fun. Um, so I do want to go ahead and move on to the chairs. And the brush that I originally got was big because I thought, oh, this is going to save me time. But then I felt like it was soaking up the paint and paint wasn't actually getting on the umbrella. So I switched to this brush that I had in my like craft stash. It doesn't have a specific name. I think I got it from Michael's. But now I tried to clean it as best I could, but I'm hoping that the red doesn't come through in the beige because that won't be cool. But yeah, I want to go ahead and do the chairs so that they can be drying and then move on to the next project, which is spray painting a lot of stuff. Okay, I am tired of this already. I think even with the umbrella with both projects, I should have gone with a roller instead of a brush. I think it would make it faster. I think it would make it go on more evenly. So I want to do my spray paint project next and then go get a roller to do the rest of the chairs. But I want my spray paint stuff to be drying while I do this so that like something's getting done while I leave the house again. Because yeah, like that's it's not bad because I'm gonna stencil over, so it's not gonna you're not gonna be able to tell that it's super blotchy. But I don't want all of them to look like that, and it just takes so long, and my arm is getting tired after doing that, and now this. In my part 1 video, I mentioned that I wanted to have some edging around my little plot over there where I have the little frames over currently to keep out the critters from, because mainly I didn't want the birds and stuff to eat the seeds when I planted them, the wildflower seeds, and I didn't want Nix to dig in it. And it turns out that was a well-founded fear because we had a little incident yesterday where Nix got the zoomies out here and she started digging in one of my pots that has the jasmine. And so now I'm paranoid that she's going to dig in this one or she's going to get up in it and lay in it. So I decided to use the same edging for both. So I got this, it's folded up and it's 10 feet of edging. And I'm going to try to stick it in the planter. Hopefully, I can make it fit with the wires. And then I'm going to stick it around the edge of the other thing so I can take off those frames. And when I saw it online, I thought it was perfect. But when I got there, I realized that it's green, which doesn't go with my color scheme. So I need to paint this black. And so I want to paint this black now so that when I get back, it should be, well, at least one side will be dry. And then I can flip it over, do the other side so that at least one thing gets done today, like completely done, not half done. completely done. So let's unravel these. The boxes that had the rocking chairs in them are huge, so I can spread out these on top of that to spray. Okay, so I finished the chairs with the roller, my improvised little tray, and they still look kind of splotchy, but at least it was faster. And I feel like it's less splotchy. And I will be stenciling over it. So hopefully it's not as noticeable, the splotches, because there's going to be a design on it. But mainly I wanted like a neutral background for that. I also, oh, for the umbrella, I do like the color. I do see that the parts that were faded, which was the whole point of refreshing it, are still look darker. I mean, still look lighter. So, um, and it does feel dry. So I might have to do another coat over those areas. And I ordered 3 more bottles of red that are supposed to be here in a couple days. And I also spray painted the other side of these. So now let's put them in the planters and in the ground and see how they fit. I really wanted a mini wrought iron looking fence type of edging, but for the amount that I needed, this would have been extremely expensive, like a couple $100 to edge all of my areas. So I might save up for that for the future. So it's very subtle on camera, but it's definitely a border. And I was able to follow along with the shape of the bricks, which they have moss on them, and I think that's really cute. For this one, it didn't take quite 2, so the pieces were 10 feet each, and I only needed like 18 feet on this one. So I took one apart, and it gave me just enough over there, so that was good. But now I have a tiny gap here that I'll have to figure out how to, like, if I should put something there, um, just like put something to make it look a little, like, hide the gap a little bit. I found something that is really the icing on the cake for a Victorian garden, in my opinion. I found it at the estate sale where I got some pots and a couple other things I haven't shown yet. But let me go get it because I think it would just cap this particular day off and motivate me to finish this project. Be right back. A haunting moss colored statue. Look at this. It's coming across darker on camera. It really just has like a light sheen of algae and maybe a little bit of moss. But I thought it'd be perfect for this garden. She's holding a little bird. I am tempted to try to clean it, but then I also like how it looks so aged already. It's not new. She's got a bow in her hair. Her dress just flows down. And this spot already didn't have a lot of seeds growing. Like I didn't spread any seeds or they didn't sprout right there. So I thought it'd be a good spot. And it's looking right at the table over there. And Nyx is looking at it. What do you think, Nyx? Is it scary? Is it haunting? Yeah, I just think it's perfect for a Victorian garden. I found a lot of good stuff at that estate sale, but this alone makes it worth it because we had to drive kind of far. And then hopefully these are wildflower seedlings. They look kind of leggy and stretched right now. They did say they were for shade gardens though. So, and then I have some of those other free bulbs that I got. I'm going to try to stick those in the ground too. But finally, that eyesore is gone. I need to pack those away for the season. I think I'm done with them for the season. What should we name her? I feel like she should have a name. So my second round of red paint came in, and I did my best to color match the original, which is this side, and this is the new paint. And I don't know if it's because I didn't match it perfectly, so it's a little bit lighter. It also hasn't dried, or because I'm using a roller now, I decided to bring the umbrella down onto the ground and on a flat surface roll it out, like use a paint roller to get a more even coverage. So that side looks darker than that side. However, in general, you can see that even on this side, when I use the brush, the streaks, the sun streaks are still there. And on, you can still see it on this side too. Like the paint's not covering it evenly, which I guess is expected. Um, and I'm on my last section, and I will prop up the umbrella and let it dry, and then figure out what to do with the top part because I can't reach it very well with like trying to get over here. And I probably need to redo this side over here because this is where I did like half brush, and then the bottom is where I did the paint roller, and you can clearly see the difference. I'm trying to decide if I should do another coat of paint or if I should just let it be. Like, I'm kind of ready to be done with this umbrella. It's not turning out the way I wanted. The weather's also not on my side. Um, we haven't had rain in like months, and then now it's supposed to rain like every day. So that's also putting a time crunch on all the things that I want to do before the final reveal. So I'm going to finish this last section and then prop up the umbrella so it can dry, and then move on to the next thing before the weather gets bad. It looks terrible and I hate it. So I guess I'll let it dry, and then I guess I'll just be saving it for a new umbrella. One of my favorite things about the Victorian period in terms of design is damask. And for the chair, so in my first video, I spray painted these chairs. They were gray. The the metal and everything was gray. They were just gray. Um, and I spray painted them, and then I went over them with some other fabric paint for like a beige color here, and then I spray painted the metal black to give it that Victorian kind of wrought iron look. So now, to make it look even more reminiscent of a wrought iron chair, I'm going to stencil on a damask pattern, and I think this, oops, I think this kind of like botanical kind of pattern on the chair will be, I'm not going to say it's going to look like wrought iron. It'll be reminiscent of a wrought iron, like very ornate, like curly Q kind of patterns. And the only thing I need to decide is how I'm going to center the stencil. If I'm going to do it just straight centered like this, which I like, but it has the damask kind of on the sides, or if I'm going to do it like in the middle so that the main like this part is in the center and then everything else goes out. So I have to decide that, which I'm leaning more towards this, even though I really like this little crisscrossy thing. I like how it crisscrosses in the middle, and it would be super easy to just tape it down and go to town. And then I've even been thinking about going over the edges of the chair with black. So I originally taped off the fabric part of the back and seat when I spray painted, but I think it might actually look better if there's a very clear black line around it, to make it more framed in black versus the more modern, like no, like the very slim edge of black. If I do it on the outside, first of all, I'll have to bend the stencil, which that's kind of not cool. Um, and then I'll have to match it. I'll have to pattern match it in the center. If I do it like this, then I could always just fill in the black, like the stripes, this little side right here. And I have a couple different methods. So I have another foam roller, and I also have some foam little mini brushes, and I want to do the back and the seat. So that's going to impact, and I hope I have enough paint, because I have used a little bit of this black paint for mixing it with the red. So I hope I have enough to do all 4 chairs, the backs and seats, with the stencil. And I was going to try to practice on cardboard, but I don't feel like practicing. I want to just get right into it. So let's give it a shot. And I also consider spray painting, but I'd have to get some black fabric spray paint, which I don't have. All right, it's fully painted. I don't know if I should let it dry at all, or if I can, because if I have to let it dry between every one, then it's going to take me forever to do this. So let's try to peel it off carefully. Look at it! I think it's beautiful. And then I just need to fill in these edges with black. And I think that's gonna be so, because like it's like an X for like a chair back. Oh, it's so, yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. This is making up for the umbrella being bad. That this is working the way I wanted it to. So I'm gonna work on the chair bottom, and then I need to do all the chairs, but I'm going to pop in my headphones to listen to an audiobook. I'm still listening to The Handmaid's Tale, which is not the most delightful listening, but I had it in my library and I just wanted to finish it, so that's what I'll work on. See you in a bit. So I have resorted to painting in my living room because the weather has not been cooperative. It has rained on and off for days. And if I'm going to ever finish this project, especially on the timeline that I had, that I needed to do it. Unfortunately, because this is fabric paint, it doesn't have strong fumes or smells or anything. And so now I've done the backs and seats of all the chairs. And for one of the chairs, I've done the outside border, and I don't love it. So I'm trying to decide how to fix it. Let me show you. So on this chair, I painted the border black of where the stencil ended. And basically I just think it's too square. Like I kind of want to do like more rounded edges to make it more oval, and then I need to do a border on the bottom. And I need to fix the border here and maybe make this a little bit more rounded. So I need to do that on all the chairs. The other thing I need to decide is what I'm going to do with the back. I had it in mind to also stencil the back. So line up the stencil and then do it on the back side. I'm just worried that it's going to bleed through and mess up the front. So a challenge I had with the stencil was the bleeding underneath the stencil edges. So that's actually the back of the stencil. And I had to be really careful when stenciling because the paint was getting underneath the stencil in a lot of places. So it doesn't look as clean. Like this was the first chair and that looked so clean and sharp. And then as time went on, it just kept getting more and more messy. So I've been trying to be really careful as I've stenciled. It's taken me like an hour, I feel like, to do one seat because I was just trying to be so careful. So I'm just worried that if I line up the stencil, there's going to be bleed through. I'm worried that there's going to be bleed through around the edges. I just have to, if I'm going to do it, I have to be extremely careful with how I have to be extremely careful with how I line it up and make sure that I don't overload it with paint. It's mainly just to keep it from looking unfinished. Like that just looks unfinished. And I feel like if I stencil the back, then it'll kind of bring it all together. So that's what I'm working with right now. I need to do the borders on all of them and then I guess do the backs of the chairs. And then I have a few more things to spray paint, not today because it's raining. I've been watching the forecast every day and I might have to end up doing it in my garage, like just put out some cardboard and spray paint. It's the last of the umbrella stands and the stands that I have for the lights that I have coming. Those are the last things. Oh, and I have a couple plant stands that I thrifted that I also need to spray paint. And those might have to just get done in the garage at some point. So I'm keeping on, keeping on. All right, we're in the home stretch. I just have a few more things to spray paint, and I have a rug coming in and some lights. So it's miraculously not raining, and it looks like the rain's going to hold off for at least the afternoon. So I'm going to get these cleaned up. Both of them are a little bit rusty. This one especially, so I need to make sure I knock some of the rust off. Then I have some spray primer, like Rust-Oleum primer, to spray on it first and then paint it black. And then with the umbrella stands, I wasn't going to paint these at first because I thought they looked okay, but then to keep everything all cohesive, I'm going to spray paint these black as well. much. Okay, I've already rearranged for when I was doing my final, like when I was building everything out. I rearranged the plants a little bit because I felt like they were blocking the view, like having a whole line of plants was blocking the view to my statue. And so I moved the palm over there and I put both stands over here. And then I put that plant on a little stand and just kind of shifted everything over. I can't believe it's done. I'm happy it's done. And I really didn't think it was going to be finished today because I think I've said this in every video. It's been raining like every day. The patio is still wet from when it rained last night because it's just been so humid, like it's not drying everything. Um, so, but the forecast seemed like it was holding out. So I said, let me just try to go ahead and finish this and get it done. And it looks so good. The rug just brightens everything up and I feel like pulls everything together. Like it would have looked good without the rug, but the checkerboard pattern, which is like, I don't even know how many pins I have on my Pinterest board of Victorian patio with like a checkerboard tile. Oh, it's so perfect. And then all of my found pots. So I think only two of these did I buy new. No, three. Okay, three. So and this was in my shade garden video. Um, the no, it's not a hosta. Is it a hosta? The hosta back here, that's in a new pot that I got from Michael's, but I got it on sale. And then also like an urn shaped pot. There's a couple aloe in there. And then the Brunnera pot I also bought new, which I kept saying I wanted that to be in an urn pot, but I couldn't find one that was big enough to fit like within a budget. And then but I thrifted all the other pots either from Goodwill or estate sales. And the so if, for anyone who didn't watch my first videos, my part one, the patio set I already had. It was all gray and I painted it and I stenciled on these designs, which that was earlier in the video. It's been like 2 weeks and since that I've been making this video like little by little each day. So I'm trying to remember all of what I did just in this video. Um, the poles for the lights, I already had those. We used them in our previous home. We had a deck that we kind of like zip tied the poles to the deck itself and strung the lights up. Those lights didn't make it like they said they were rated for outdoor use, but I guess they really weren't supposed to be outside all the time. These lights are supposed to be better. I think I got too many because it's a lot of lights. Like I had to crisscross to get to like use up all the lights. But I foresee us using this patio a lot. Um, and also the other seating area, the rocking chairs, I've already used that a few times, like on my lunch breaks before, as I was waiting for the rest of the stuff to be done. I would just come out, sit in the rocking chair during my lunch break and have some tea and just have a little bit of sunshine. And it helps like make my day a little less stressful. So I've already been enjoying the patio, like that as it's been done in sections. The umbrella. I haven't even opened it since I finished painting it because it has rained every day. Um, and so I didn't even really get a chance to dry completely before it got rained on multiple times. I mean, we still have it. I've moved it over closer to the rocking chairs. Because we can't use umbrella in this area now with the lights. Like it's either umbrella or lights, and I'd rather have lights in this area. Because I feel like the times that we'd be using this seating area would either be early in the morning when the sun is on that side of the house, or in the evening when the sun's already down. So there's not a need for an umbrella. But I like that now the table is free, and because even like when we lived in our last house and we didn't have room to separate the umbrella from the table, the pole was like right in the center, even if we didn't have it open. So it was kind of like harder. You couldn't use the whole table. We couldn't play games out here because of like the pole. It was made it awkward. Um, so we do have it in case we want to use it for anything. because even though it's ugly, it will still work. It'll still shade. So I'm just chalking that up to a loss. Not a loss, but just didn't turn out the way I wanted. The chairs did turn out really well, I think. Um, the only thing that's kind of weird, which is not doing it now, but I noticed when I was sitting in the chairs before I stenciled them, when it was just the beige fabric paint, that it's kind of sticky. Like I felt like my clothes were sticking to it, and I did spray the chairs with like a fabric sealer to hopefully make it less sticky. But overall, I think these turned out really well and definitely my vision. And I think it, like, it obviously, they don't look exactly like wrought iron Victorian chairs, but I think it adds the element of the damask and like the design. And I would really love to get some. I kind of want to make some rocker cushions. First of all, rocker cushions are extremely expensive, like way more than like I would expect rocker pillows for rocking chairs to be. Like they're just thin cushions. Like I don't know what's so special about them to make them $40 for one set to go on one chair. So I want to make some rocker cushions, and I would love to stencil on the same pattern. So like if I get some like beige or cream colored cushions, or if I make some, then I can stencil on the same pattern to like bring everything together. I think that would be really cute. Um, but overall, I would say this project was a success, and I'm so glad I did it. If you have made it this far in this video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.